Would I say it's cozy? If you listen to me and you're like, it doesn't seem scary, think again. Our main character commits a itty bitty murder. Hello, my friends. Welcome to my favorite season. It officially feels like autumn here in Seoul. We are now in the teens as far as temperatures in Celsius go. It is so lovely. I lit my heritage pumpkin candle. We are going to be talking about some autumn books, and I had a rough time with this because I wanted to give you guys some cozy autumn reads, and I realized I don't read a whole lot of cozy books. So what we're gonna do is we're going to start cozy and continuously get creepier. Feel free to exit whenever you feel like the vibes are a little bit off for you. I'm very excited, but first I want to give a shout out to the sponsor of this video, Likewise. I've talked about Likewise before. They are a service that helps recommend different books, TV shows, movies, podcasts, any kind of media based off of things that you already like. And so it's a mixture of an algorithm that looks at things that you have said that you like. You kind of do a little quiz. Plus, there are real people on the app that are giving you, maybe making lists, giving you recommendations, etc. Initially, I started using Likewise for books, but now I'm actually using it for podcasts because I have listened to every single episode of my two favorite podcasts, and I'm desperate. So they really helped me out with that. It is absolutely free. You can download it if you want to sign up for it. I have a link down in the description box, but it is on.likewise.com/cari2. And the sign up again is free. The link only helps let them know that I sent you, which in turn helps this channel. You can check me out on Likewise. You can see everything that I like, which is a little embarrassing, but I feel like I have embarrassed myself enough on this channel. You can follow me. I am Cari Can Read. I just created a list for all of my autumn TBR because I feel like I don't actually write down my TBR. So thank you so much to Likewise for sponsoring this. Once again, link in the description box, absolutely free. Highly recommend. It seems like the people who are on Likewise are our kind of people, to be honest. It's our community, just on a different app. So if you're looking for recommendations, especially for books, I highly recommend. People have some amazing lists going on. Thank you so much to Likewise. So that being said, we are going to try and stay in the theme of autumn reads. Let's see what we get up to. So get my list up. I want to start with 3 books that I am currently reading or I'm about to start reading. The first one that I'm almost done with is called The Witch's Haven. I actually found out about Witch's Haven, the book, from Alexandra Rosalind. Oh my god, her channel is so great. I love how she talks about books. I love the aesthetic. Her bookshelves, bananas. I love everything about this channel. But she mentioned Witch Haven, and everything about it sounded great. So it is a young adult novel that takes place in New York in kind of the 1910s, which, if you know me, I love the turn of century kind of 1890s to the early 1900s. Without giving too much away, basically our main character commits a itty bitty murder, a justified murder. She gets taken away to a witch school, and nothing is what it seems. I thought it was going one way, and it very quickly went in a different direction, and I thought it was such an interesting take. So I'm not super drawn into the story. Maybe the plot is gonna get a little bit better. I'm exactly halfway through. But if you're looking for a witch school that takes place in New York City, turn of the century, it's got that imagery for you. And I hadn't heard anything about this book until Alexandra mentioned it. So reading that. I'm also reading The Haunting of Hill House because my girl Carly told me to. This, I believe I started it before and I just kind of put it down, but The Haunting of Hill House is about a psychologist who wants to study haunted houses, and so he finds a house that he believes is haunted, and he invites certain people who have claimed to have had supernatural experiences. He invites them to live in the house for a little bit, and he's just gonna observe and see what's going on. It's a horror book, so you can guess what goes on. And last but not least, the book that I haven't started but I have heard a lot about on Bookstagram, and it's got me already. I'm realizing now I don't even know the plot to tell you about it. It is called Lakesedge, and the only thing that I know about it is that it is a gothic novel that takes place in this like spooky house on the edge of a lake. I'm judging a book by the cover, like hard. So I am waiting for it at the library, but I think that that will be peak October content, I'm hoping. Those are the books that I am not finished with yet, but if you want to get a jump and maybe we can talk about it in my October reading wrap up, those are what I'm working on. But as far as books that I know and love and I want to recommend to you, let's start off with the coziest I can get, which is Creepy Ass Fairies. So let's dive in. This candle smells really good, by the way. I got it from Target. Number one, how many times have I recommended this book to you guys? The Enchantment of Ravens. Enchantment of Ravens? Enchantment of Ravens. You will never get me to shut up about Margaret Rogerson's writing. I adore her work. Also, something that should have been on my TBR in the beginning of this video is her new novel that is just coming out, Vespertine. Very much excited for it. I will link it down below if you want a synopsis. Margaret Rogerson writes impeccable young adult fantasy standalones. Her book, A Sorcery of Thorns, is probably one of my favorite books of all time. I love it so much. But I feel like Enchantment of Ravens really holds on to that autumn feeling. It is about a normal girl who is an artist, and she lives alongside kind of the fairy folk, but her relationship with them is that fairies can't make anything. They can't cook, they can't create art, they can't create music, they can just consume and enjoy. So fairies really like artists, and she happens to be a fantastic artist and specifically working with portraits. And so she has this one fairy friend guy who's kind of like her agent. He's a patron, I would say. And he is always asking for artwork and stuff. And in the beginning of our story, he comes to her and he's like, hey, I got this friend. He wants a portrait. Can you hook him up? And she's kind of like, don't really like working with fairies, but like, okay, I'll do it for you. The guy shows up. It's weird. She paints him, and things go downhill very quickly from there. I don't want to give too much away, but it involves an adventure into fairyland, lots of autumn vibes, and Margaret really stays true to kind of what fairies really are in fairy tales. So I feel like a lot of times now in literature we see fairies as like these beautiful, perfect, powerful people, but kind of in the olden times fairies were, it was all like guys. In reality, if you actually saw them for what they really were, they were not beautiful. They were kind of made of sticks and bugs and stuff. They were kind of gruesome. And then if you read Sorcery of Thorns because it's fantastic. So next on our list is a book that I remember so much from childhood, and I feel like for me, cozy autumn reading tends to be me falling back on books that I loved as a kid. And so this is one that I need to reread. I haven't read it in so long, but it is Inkheart by Cornelia Funke. I have talked so much about The Thief Lord and how much I love The Thief Lord, and I think that if you read that as a kid, that is the exact reason why you are obsessed with Six of Crows, because show me someone who loves Thief Lord and not Six of Crows. They don't exist. Inkheart is a bit more on the fantasy side. Inkheart follows our main character whose father works with books. One day, things from books come to life. I am not describing this well. It's an adventure story that takes place in the real world where these characters can kind of come to life, and they certainly do not wish this girl well. And it's just, Cornelia Funke is another author that, like, she shaped my childhood imagination. Like, when I dreamed and imagined things, it was in the way that she taught me to think about fantasy, and I love her so much. So Inkheart, if you want, just kind of, it's leaning towards middle grade rather than young adult. So if you just want a really easy, comfortable, nostalgic read that is a book about books and about storytelling, there it is. So it's just fantastic. I hope that you read everything that Cornelia Funke touches, and keeping it cozy. Wow, 2 books in a row. Next is a book that I just read, and it is Cemetary Boys. I finally read it. Everybody told me to read it. Here I am. The book is about our main character, who is a boy living in East LA, and his family happens to be brujos y brujas, witches, basically. And his main struggle is that he is trans, and so his family is stuck in these traditions because, like, the brujas, so the women witches, have very specific roles and very specific powers, and the brujos also have a different role of very specific roles, very specific powers. And so they're kind of like, in life, I will support you. Like, I recognize who you are, I love you, but we draw the line at you trying to be a brujo. There are certain, like, tests and rites and rituals that you can do to enact your powers, and they won't even let him do that. They're like, no, it's a waste of time. Hang out. You aren't going to be a part of this world. And so he, in order to prove himself, decides to do the ritual by himself, just with his friend. The night that it happens, suddenly bad things start to happen, and there is a mystery that needs to be solved, multiple mysteries that need to be solved. There is a sarcastic, annoying teenage boy ghost. I think that I appreciated it as I was reading it. I don't think I'd ever reread it. I think as a young adult book, like, I can just imagine this being in a school library, and someone who needs to read that will read it, and it will really help them through things. Like, there's a certain line about how, you know, he thinks that he's the first trans witch, and one of the characters is kind of like, no, there's no way. Like, this has been going on for thousands of years. There's no fucking way that you are the first trans witch. And I think that, like, there were just lines like that that were really important for the audience that it's aiming towards. As far as, like, the actual story, I thought it was a little, like, loopy and windy. I had problems with it, but overall I think that it's a book that needs to exist. It's all kind of taking place around Dia de los Muertos, so there's, like, a lot of that feeling to it. Would I say it's cozy? It's autumn, it's October, it's Halloween, Dia de los Muertos vibes. So, Cemetary Boys, very quick read. Enjoy. Next up is The Binding, which I have already talked about at length. This book took me completely by surprise. I would say that it's more cozy than Cemetary Boys, actually, but it's definitely more eerie. Anyway, I don't want to tell you too much about it because the person who recommended it to me went into it knowing nothing, so I went into it knowing nothing, and I hope that you do too. It basically follows a boy who is suffering from this really mysterious illness, but he's kind of getting better, they think, and because of this, he is not able to work on his father's farm anymore, and so he gets a request from a local bookbinder to go work at their studio as an apprentice. And so he goes very reluctantly because it's unclear why exactly, but books are kind of banned. So the first half of the book is working in a studio. It felt like a very old fairy tale, a very slow-paced story, and then something happens right in the middle and it completely changes. The plot is quite a bit quicker. There's a beautiful little romance that happens. That's all I really want to say. It is heart-wrenching. It has just got the autumn leaning towards winter kind of vibes, lots of candlelight. I don't know, the atmosphere was lovely, and I was very surprised by this book, and I really, really loved it. So I hope that you do too. That is The Binding. Next is a book that I talked about in regards to young adult fantasy standalones, and that is The Bone Houses. Oh my gosh, I came across this completely randomly. What a pleasant surprise. So Bone Houses is about a girl who lives in like on the edge of this village, and her like family business is being a grave digger. We learn that the forest and the mountains that surround this village are not a place you want to be, for reasons that we will discover. She lives like next to the mountains, and so she kind of has this different relationship with the forest. She knows how to deal with it. She understands the forest. She doesn't like it, but she understands it. Her father is sent on a mission by the king or something. He never comes back, and quite soon after that, her mother dies of what you assume is like a broken heart. And so now our main character has to become the gravedigger of this place. She has to support her like 2 siblings, and everybody thinks that she's nuts because she keeps telling everybody that there are zombies everywhere, and nobody believes her. And so she has to like quietly kill all of these zombies. And the story really begins when a stranger arrives in town, and he is a map maker, and he wants to map the forest, and everybody knows that the girl is the only person who knows the forest. She's like, yeah, I mean, I need the money. He was gonna pay big bucks. So she's like, yeah, all right, let's go into the forest. And she's hoping that she can find her father. She's hoping that she can figure out how to stop all of these zombies from coming out of the woods all the time. It touches a lot on like letting go of loved ones that have passed on in a very like realistic way. It didn't try to romanticize grief. I just thought that the themes that it touched on were well done, and I enjoyed it very much, and it did definitely give me like those October feelings. So that is The Bone Houses. Next, you knew it was coming, The Wicked Deep by Shea Ernshaw. I talk about Shea Ernshaw all the time. She is another author that can just do standalones well. The Wicked Deep technically takes place in summer. I'm gonna put that out there. It does not feel like summer. It feels like an October kind of Halloween story, because it is about a girl who lives in a small town in Oregon that has a very bad past. Basically in like the 1800s, people who were living there accused these 3 sisters, the Swan sisters, of witchcraft, and they drowned them in the lake, or the bay, I suppose. And since then, every single summer is called Swan Season, in which, for one reason or another, a teenage boy will drown. Our main girl is obviously freaking out because Swan Season does not sound fun. And our story begins where she goes to this bonfire that is marking the start of Swan Season, and this stranger shows up, and it is a teenage boy. And she's thinking like, why on earth would a teenage boy come to a town at the exact moment that teenage boys are being murdered? And so we kind of go on this adventure with them, and try and figure out the curse and how it works. And I thought that it was just a really great kind of Halloween story. Some people have a problem with the twist at the end, and I understand it. I don't know. Let me know what you think about the ending of The Wicked Deep. If you have read it, put like a spoiler warning in your comment. I'm not gonna say anything else, but yeah, The Wicked Deep, it's got witches, it's got, you know, nighttime boat rides. This is kind of where we tip towards the eerie side of the books. So just fair warning, now we've got dead boys, curses, and witches. We're gonna get darker. So it begins. Next, on the more creepy side, is a book that I just talked about, which is Small Favors, and this is by Erin Craig, who is the same author as The House of Salt and Sorrows. Small Favors takes place in this village in the middle of the mountains somewhere in America. It is very old-fashioned. It feels like it's supposed to take place in like the 1800s. It's a small town, everybody has their role, you know, there's the wheat farmer, there's the beet farmer. Our main girl's family raises the honey of the town. It feels a little Puritan, you know. That setting in and of itself, like, I just feel like it's bad. But things start to get very strange. The crops start to die, the animals start to act very strangely, the people start to act very strangely. A handsome stranger just walks out of the woods, and these woods are supposed to be filled with monsters. It's like they can't go anywhere because they're surrounded by monsters, but it seems more and more like the monsters are creeping in. So it's just got this creepy feeling. There's like stranger danger stuff going on. You don't know who to trust. I thought it was pretty good. I thought the ending was not my favorite, but I will let it slide because of the general atmosphere that it created for me. I appreciated it. So that is Small Favors. I don't know why I put this in the creepy section. I don't remember it being, well, yeah, actually it is scary. You're right, Cari. Yeah, past Cari's correct. I am going to recommend to you The Historian by Elizabeth Kostova, possibly one of my favorite books of all time. This is a book about Dracula, basically. We have our main girl who is living with her father, who is a professor, as was her mother. But her mother has disappeared or died. We don't really know. Her mother is a big chunk of the mystery of this book. What her father actually studies is basically Dracula. Like, it follows the real person that inspired Dracula. And the book is told through a bunch of different points of views and like kind of we're flashing back in time. It's just this really interesting adventure all throughout Europe. There's a lot of train travel. It's a lot of like academia. There's lots of libraries and haunted stuff. It's just a really great book. So if you are not ready to dive fully into Dracula, because that is a difficult book to read. I always try to read it and then I always give up like halfway through. But you still want to get like the Dracula kind of atmosphere. The Historian. The next two I'm going to talk about at the same time because I think that they're very similar books. Quintessential dark academia books. The first one is one that I just talked about and I just read last month, and it is A Lesson in Vengeance. This takes place at an all-girls boarding school, and our main character is coming back to repeat her senior year because she took time off due to the death of her friend, roommate, fellow student, and she just kind of wants to finish her senior year. Like, she just wants to get it over with. Certain memories and certain people are not going to let that happen. I didn't super love it because it was like over the top dark academia, but if you are looking for that dark academia atmosphere, 100% a quick read, had it all there. Definitely. Wonderful October read. On the other side, the next book is one that I thought did dark academia really well, and that is If We Were Villains. So this also takes place at a boarding school, and it is more of like this conservatory, I guess. And so we follow this friend group that is studying theater, and more specifically they are focused on Shakespeare. The book actually starts out in a jail cell where we meet our main character who has just gotten out of jail, and the detective who was a part of his case has retired, and he basically comes to him and is like, I don't think you told the truth, and I want to know the truth, and I'm not going to hold it against you. Like, I'm not going to turn you in. You've already served your time, whatever. Can you please just tell me what actually happened? And so we go back to the school and we relive the year of this guy's life before he is put in jail. I really liked it. I also read it during like a thunderstorm. It was just everything came together for me. But it is their senior year and they are focusing on tragedies. So I think they do Romeo and Juliet, Macbeth, and they do one other. Anyway, so they are working on all these tragedies and things start to get really weird. Like, the actual tragedies start to show themselves in real life. I just thought it was a good time. It had like this mystery going on, but then it had this boarding school and it had Shakespeare. And I thought that the author did a really great job of explaining Shakespeare in kind of layman terms, because I do not understand Shakespeare. If you just spout it at me, I can guess, but like I'm probably not going to understand what William was trying to say. So I thought that they did a really good job of explaining it without dumbing it down. So yeah, I highly recommend if you're looking for dark academia. The next two I think are also very similar, and so if you've read either one of these, I think you will like the other. First one is Hazel Wood, which I just read, and this is a really weird fairy tale. So if you like books about books, here's the Hazel Wood for you. So we have our main girl who lives with her mother, and they're kind of constantly on the run. Like they're just living life out of their cars, like they're always living in different places, and they seem to be running from like just bad luck. Like stuff goes wrong all the time. Whenever they seem to stay in one place long enough, something happens where they have to keep moving. We know that her grandma was a famous author. She lives in like this crazy huge estate. She's super rich, but we never see her. The mom never wants to see her. And after the grandmother dies, the mom is kind of like, I think we can stop running now. And so they end up settling down in New York City. And just when they think that, like, you know, we've been here for a while, nothing bad has happened, something bad happens. Near the end, things get very chaotic, and I honestly think I got a little bit lost as far as the plot. But if you like very creepy fairy tale feeling and like books within books and stories within stories, I think you should give it a try. That is the Hazel Wood. And if you like the Hazel Wood, I believe that you would also like House of Hollows. House of Hollows is also kind of this like not quite right fairy tale. We have these three sisters who are just blessed with these talents. Like they're magnetic, they're so charismatic, everybody's obsessed with them. One of them is this incredible fashion designer, and they're also famous because they disappeared for I forget how long, but it was a while. They came back and they don't have any memory of what happened to them during that time. You start to unravel why and how they disappeared, and it gets very dark very quickly. And again, it's one of those like older time fairy tales where fairies are creepy and scary and made of twigs. It was not what I expected at all, and I enjoyed it. It was a standalone. Again, if you want just more of like this creepy fairy vibe, House of Hollows will tick that box, as will the Hazel Wood. I liked House of Hollows a bit more. Last two, I promise. Next one being the Slade House. I love this book. This is by David Mitchell, who wrote Cloud Atlas, which is one of my favorite books. The Slade House is so creepy. It is about this particular street. Every once in a while, if you walk by, you will see a door or a garden that has never existed there before. The people who go in, whether it's they're curious or whether somebody inside the house calls them in, or maybe they were like a plumber and they were invited in, like all this stuff, they never come out. It spans different time periods. One thing I love about David Mitchell is that he is able to write in so many different voices, and he can really set the tone for each different time period, and you slowly start to learn the mystery like decades and decades and decades later. If you like books that are about haunted houses and kind of like other dimensions and magic and I can't even explain what it's about, and it's wonderful, and I don't hear enough people talking about it. The Slade House. I have completely lost my voice. Give me a second. Oh my gosh. Last but not least, the eeriest on our cozy to eerie autumn reads list is Silent Companions. I made a video about creepy books earlier, so you might have heard a lot of these titles before, but Silent Companions. How creepy. I didn't think I would be scared based on the synopsis, but I was. So just warning you, if you listen to me and you're like, it doesn't seem scary, think again. It is about a woman who has just gotten married and then just lost her husband. Like, he died very, very quickly after their wedding. After they got married, they were supposed to move into the kind of family estate. He's kind of a rich guy. And even though he has died, she is still expected to do that. So now she's this woman who is completely alone. She's a widow now. She has to mourn, and she has to move into this giant ass empty house that she has never been to. But it starts to get creepier when she notices things moving around. She also realizes that the village people, they hate the rich family, and they feel they're like very cold to her, and there are dolls involved. And I'm not scared, like Chucky, Annabelle, whatever, not scared. I think that those are very silly. This got me freaked out. The author did a very good job of making me very scared. So if you are looking for a dark Victorian haunted house horror story that is a standalone and it is a relatively quick read, Silent Companions. Try not to read it when you're home alone by yourself. Let's just say that. Silent Companions. Once again, thank you so much to Likewise for sponsoring this video. If you want to check them out, the link will be in the description box, and I am on.likewise.com/cari2. So thank you, Likewise, for supporting this channel. And yeah, I am trying my best. I don't want to make this sad, but like, I am a little frustrated right now because there is content that I really want to make. There is so much going on in my life right now. I don't want to do so many of these just like sit down listicle videos. I want to like take you guys and do a reading vlog again. Like there's just content that I want to make. But like as of right now, I can't. And I just want to say thank you for sticking around. I am waiting on my 100K plaque before I do the book recommendation video, the like 100K celebration video. Yeah, thank you guys so much for sticking around, and hopefully like closer to November, I will be able to make the stuff that I want to make again. I hope you guys will have an amazing October, an amazing autumn reading season, or spring. Hey, Southern Hemisphere, not forgetting you. Anyway, I just wanted to check in and say, hey, I love you all, and I will see you guys next time. I'm going to go make persimmon bread in my rice cooker. So if you want to know more about my rice cooker baking adventures, you can check out my main channel, just Cari Cakes, and I will see you guys next time. See you then. Bye!